New York City suffers a rampant silent crime wave as followers of a long-forgotten criminal ninja clan known as the Foot appear to be in full resurgence. With the police doing nothing, it seems that four mutant heroes, who live below in the sewers, trained by their wise sensei, are the only ones who can stop them. Caught in the middle is a plucky news reporter, hot on the next big break in the case, and a hockey mask-wearing night vigilante who aid the capable, but fairly green in more ways than one, mutant fighters. The ninja battle over New York wages, and it becomes clear that the war goes back much further and is much more personal in origin than they could have expected. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, dudes. The movie. The 1990 adaptation of the material originally conceived by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. It's the first time these characters appeared on the big screen, and certainly not the last. Now, there are movies that are childhood favorites, and then there are movies that defined childhoods. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, definitely defined a lot of childhood memories, mine included. To watch this movie, it's like opening the floodgates of nostalgia, and they bring back fond memories of eating pizza at parties with your friends, watching the Turtles movie, the cartoon, playing the video games, playing with the toys, enjoying all the other licensed junk that they churned out, because all the kids had turtle fever, and in the early 1990s, the Ninja Turtles were the biggest, most awesome thing in existence. But those days are over. We are grown now. The question remains, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 version, the franchise as a whole aside, the marketing empire aside, the warm and fuzzy nostalgia aside, is it a good movie? Does it work as a self-contained film, all on its own? In all honesty, I can't completely remove my own nostalgia, my own personal bias, but I think so. I think it works. It's a really good movie, actually. One thing to keep in mind, this was not a money-in-the-bank kind of production. I don't think the team behind it immediately thought, yeah, this is going to sell a lot of Happy Meals, be a big hit. No. While there was the animated show, and which was popular, obviously, the toys, the games, comics, they had a big following too, all that good stuff. There was still this mentality at the time that it was just separate. It was a different kind of world. I mean, it's not like they were cranking out Saturday morning cartoon live-action motion picture productions, like, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Transformers even. They were 30-minute toy commercials, really, other than maybe the He-Man movie, and let's not talk about that movie. You just didn't really see that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was independently produced. It was a leap of faith. And you have to figure, somewhere along the line there, people got together with the belief that this was a movie worth making, and a story worthy of something on a larger scale than a Saturday morning cartoon. And I think it shows in the final product. The plot is nothing overly elaborate. It's more akin to the comics than to the cartoon. So there's no giant robots or aliens or interdimensional vortexes or anything like that. It's kept simple enough, especially given the budgetary restrictions. It's not a direct origin story either. When we first see the Turtles, they are grown into the pizza-eating, wisecracking teenagers that we're familiar with. But we do get a crash course in how they came to be. Of course, Splinter, being a rat from Japan, emigrates to America after his owner, Master Yoshi, a ninja, is murdered. Spoiler alert, the murder is compliments of Oroku Saki, a.k.a. the Shredder. The rat happens upon four turtles in the sewer who have been exposed to a glowing toxic canister of ooze. In his attempt to save them, he is also exposed to said ooze, and they all mutate. Become intelligent, can speak English, and become more or less the size of humans. Splinter teaches these young turtles in all the ninja ways that he's learned from his master Yoshi. They fight crime, which lately has been at an all-time high because of the Foot Clan. They have some competition in Casey Jones, the vigilante, played by the great and awesome Elias Koteas, who maybe likes to teach these young punks lessons that are a little too severe, maybe. When the news reporter, April O'Neil, starts peeking into the Foot Clan's business, things get pretty dangerous for her, and she's saved by the Turtles, and becomes an unexpected ally to them, even though they're discouraged from being seen by humans. The puppet and costume effects are really top-notch in this movie. Of course, you have Jim Henson and his team at the helm, so you know these guys are the best in the business, and the project is in good hands. The effects are convincing, and I think it was a good call to shoot the movie in darker environments, namely the sewers, which are dark, as I imagine sewers would be, so it helps the illusion. Right from the early scenes, it definitely works. When they're interacting with each other and with Splinter, we do get a sense of the characters and their personalities. Leonardo, of course, being the one molded as the leader. Raphael, the hot-headed rebel. Michelangelo, the jokester. And Donatello, the one who's voiced by Corey Feldman. So they establish that, and it's done well. But really, the key to this movie, what I think could have potentially been its undoing, if done improperly, is in the Turtles' interactions with the human characters, specifically with April O'Neil. She's an important character, not just since she's from the source material and just as important part to the mythos as Splinter, Shredder, Casey Jones, but she is our human anchor into this incredibly ridiculous concept. If you stop for a second and realize, hey, this is just some actress talking to a bunch of puppets, then the movie fails. The crucial scene for me has to be the part where the Turtles meet with April at her apartment. It's a short scene, there's not really any action or anything, but it displays the truest sincerity of movie magic that we can hope for. When you're watching a movie, you're not, looking into a window or anything, you're watching an illusion. You're being tricked, and they pull off great tricks here, without even really thinking about it. There's these puppeteers working the expressions on the turtles' faces, the body language of the actors in the suits, the voice actors, all that working together, along with Judith Hoag, as April, of course, who does a great job, to show this scene of basically friendship forming. They're all joking around, talking, laughing, shooting the shit, but as silly as it sounds, April and these turtles do show great chemistry. So I think that's the greatest trick the movie pulls, getting us to believe this lady really is there with these turtles and really being charmed by them. And aside from the technical aspects, in terms of the story, they've earned that. They've earned it through establishing the characters in previous scenes, showing the separate worlds of April, the determined news reporter, and of the Turtles, and their ninja training and all that, coming together through this mutual thread in the foot. It's the tentpole scene in the movie, really, so when complications arise in the plot, like when Splinter is kidnapped, when the fights against the foot become more challenging, when the tensions between the brothers rise, when they find themselves without their father figure for the first time, you do really feel invested. But let's say, for argument's sake, you're not a man in his 20s looking for characterization, and you're a kid and you just want to see, the turtles kick butt. Well, the movie delivers in that area, so no worries there. There's some pretty cool standout action scenes. Golden Harvest, the production company, was primarily known for doing ninja movies, so they had the resources already to translate all that into a movie where there's guys in these turtle suits pulling off some sweet martial arts moves and fighting the bad guys. So there's legitimate skills brought to the mix. And the fight scenes are a lot of fun, but they're also pretty brutal, for a kids' movie at least. It was pushing the limit in some ways. One thing that probably traumatized kids was seeing Raphael, nearly beaten to death. So that's some real shit right there. And of course, the Turtles take full advantage to their signature weapons and actually fight with them, unlike some of the other movies. So, I guess I can understand parents taking issues with that, but, whatever. There is also some bad language here and there, nothing too much. The word damn gets used quite a bit, the phrase bitchin', I think. And in one scene, if you listen really closely, you can hear Raph calling one of the foot soldiers, motherfucker. under his breath. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But even with all that, even though it is a little bit darker, a little bit more frank with the material, which is something that most people appreciate, especially the audiences who grew with the movie and still watch it today. But I don't think it pushed it too far. I would argue that other childhood films from that era and of that type were even darker, like Never-Ending Story or Labyrinth. Like no horses died in this movie. David Bowie wasn't trying to rape anybody, so I think they found a line where, while it was intended for kids, it wasn't pandering to them. Not in any kind of specific way, at least. And it trusted them to take the story for what it is. Even with some more intense action, the spirit is fairly lighthearted. There's great banter between the turtles, lots of sly one-liners, pop culture references. It's really good and really funny. This is as much a comedy as it is an action comic book fantasy. There's a bunch of really funny interactions between the characters, so the comedy is character-based, so I liked all the scenes where they play off each other and the other characters. And all that also works so well because the characters are established in such a way. So you can see a human character like Casey Jones interact with Raphael, and then later with Donatello. And you have two completely different dynamics, so they're not interchangeable characters. And just generally, there's good jokes. Like one of my favorite scenes still is when Don and Mikey mourn the loss of a moldy pizza. That's really funny. I'd encourage you to take a look at that specific scene. There's good comedic timing from the voice and costume actors, which I think goes pretty unappreciated. And just from a family-friendly perspective, like, let's say instead of mindless action on top of mindless action, if there's any kind of morals to take away, anything important for kids to think about, I guess, there are strong themes of family in this movie. Nothing too over the top and preachy, but nicely done. You can name almost any major comic book hero character, and a persistent, unified theme among many is the theme of fathers and sons, which I think they do well here. Splinter, of course, the father to the Turtles, who are mutants. They're freaks, some would say. The world just wouldn't understand them, wouldn't embrace them, but they still fight to protect the people in New York because that's the good and honorable thing to do. Contrast that to Shredder. He's the father of the Foot Clan, recruiting disillusioned youths, getting them to rob, steal, be bad guys under his false sense of honor. And that's interesting. That's the kind of stuff, you can go back to other stories, older stories. You could even look at Shredder as almost like this Captain Hook type character, gathering his little lost boys, luring them in with promises of eternal youth and no responsibilities and absolute freedom, but of course really grooming them in so many ways as pirates. So, I don't know, there's those types of themes I think you could take from it. And there's also that really great scene where April's boss's son, Danny, has strayed, he's joined the Foot, and there's that scene where he talks to Splinter and they share an exchange that's actually pretty moving. And again, you got this kid talking to a Muppet, and they're still able to get this emotional response out of the audience, so I think that's very impressive. As with any story like this, of course the good guys win, the bad guys lose, and it's a happy ending. But I'm not expecting any harsh life lessons from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I thought the fight between the Turtles and Shredder was very good. Obviously they made this villain a real challenge and threat to them, and it was very satisfying to see. Also very satisfying that Splinter is the one who finally defeats Shredder, and I guess he brings some closure to the death of his master Yoshi, which brings the whole movie and the history of the characters in full circle, which is nice. Shredder falls off the roof into a garbage truck. Casey Jones throws the compactor switch. Oops. He gets cozy with April, and everybody's happy. They spout off a few more one-liners, and the end. Cue the incredibly cheesy early 90s rap song. It's good. It's good for what it is. It really is. It's 25 years later now. The Turtles' legacy remains strong. There's still the toys and the cartoons and a new movie coming out. They're still cemented in the consciousness of our pop culture. Everybody knows about the Ninja Turtles. Ask anybody about Batman. They'll be able to tell you the key points. His parents were murdered. He dressed up like a bat and he fights crime. He's a millionaire. Has a butler, Alfred, who helps him. He drives around in the Batmobile. Spider-Man, he was bitten by a radioactive spider. He can shoot webs. His alter ego is Peter Parker, takes pictures for the Daily Bugle. Superman, home planet was destroyed. Earth gives him special powers. Kryptonite kills him. He's a really nice guy, etc., 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 etc. Same with the Ninja Turtles. Everyone knows those key points. Ooze made them mutate. Splinter trains them to be ninjas. They fight the Shredder. They like pizza. It's part of our culture. And this movie, this 1990 movie, assisted in getting across those key points and the key traits to the masses. It's actually a pretty important movie. If it sucked, if it were just trash, like let's sell some toys kind of movie, I honestly don't think it would be remembered so fondly. Absolutely setting aside the sequels for a moment. It is not a product. It is mythology. I firmly believe that. Go read or watch any review of this movie. You'll probably hear the same thing. I loved it as a kid. I still love it, sure. But are we nostalgics? Do we hold on to this movie like a security blanket? Holding on to childhood memories because we can't grow up? I don't think so. At least not entirely. Not necessarily. Rather, I'd argue that us, this generation, we were simply on the forefront of the Ninja Turtles' cultural impact. The first exposed to the ooze, so to say. Compare the Turtles to something like Batman or Spider-Man, Superman, X-Men, what have you. And they're much newer. I don't think they're dropping in popularity anytime soon. They're for the ages now, so there's a whole new generation of kids growing up who don't need their parents' help to discover all things Turtles. They can find it just fine on their own. And there will be generations to come that will likely be the same. I can't sing as much praise for the sequels. I'll get to those later. I can't sing as much praise for the television show, which is good for what it is. I know people enjoy it, but whatever. But I can confidently say that the 1990 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a special movie. A well-made movie. A self-contained movie produced by a very talented team who believed in the project and brought us some unique movie magic. And it achieves a certain kind of greatness within its own confines. Obviously, this has not gone with the wind. Yes, this is a silly concept, but it does work, and it works on its own terms, and it delivers what it sets out to bring to the audience. And for a semi-family-friendly movie, comic book fantasy film, about 4 giant turtles who practice the art of ninjutsu, I can honestly say that this is the best of its kind. I rate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, unashamedly, 3.5 stars out of 4, with masterful puppetry and a decidedly more frank approach with the material. This is an action comedy that has not only stood the test of time, but also permeated as one of the definitive tellings of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story itself. And that's my review of Ninja Turtles 1990 movie. I don't know, what do you think? Is your nostalgia clouding your judgment of this movie, or is it still, a legit good movie? I think it's legit good. Hopefully, my points made sense there. Let me know what you think below in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you're so inclined to do so. Follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, all that stuff. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. That'd be great. That'd be super. And keep an eye out. There will be more videos. I will be taking a look at the sequels to come. But for now, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more.